I'm happy today to introduce you to Fortisalt, an exciting breakthrough in gourmet mineral nutrition. Fortisalt provides balanced RDA levels of essential electrolytes and essential trace elements balanced with the sodium every time you salt your food. Many people are familiar with iodized salt, which adds iodine to the sodium chloride, and virtually had iodine deficiency disappear in this country. Fortisalt does the same thing, but for a much broader range of essential mineral and trace element nutrition. And this, when you put it on your food, tastes fantastic. I like to tell people that when you put Fortisalt on a tomato, it doesn't taste like better salt on your tomato. It tastes like salt on a better tomato. And it is so easy to use. You can put it on your food instead of the salt shaker. You just spray it on, or in your cooking, and you replace your table salt or your sea salt, and you provide balanced mineral nutrition for yourself and your whole family every time you salt your food. Proving that sodium reduction doesn't have to be bland, Fortisalt won the Superior Taste Award from the International Taste and Quality Institute in Brussels, Belgium. This is a fantastic award where chefs from all over Europe come together every year to taste a broad range of foods, not considering nutritional value, but purely considering the overall enjoyment of consumption. This is a purely hedonistic taste test that Fortisalt won this year, and I don't know of any other instances where a product that helps people reduce their sodium by more than 50% has actually won a purely hedonistic taste test from regarded chefs.
Hi, I'm Kris McDonald. I'm the Director of Quality at Mineral Resources International, the manufacturers of Fortisalt. I'm also a wife and a mother of 2 young boys, and I love to cook healthy, nutritious meals at home. Today I'm going to make a shrimp and asparagus pasta dish for you. The purpose of this show is to show you how easy it is to cook with Fortisalt, to not only to reduce your sodium, but to add nutritional value with essential minerals and trace minerals. First, I'd like to start off with brining shrimp, which may be new to most people, but what you do is you just take a 1/4 cup of Fortisalt to a pound of shrimp that you've peeled and deveined. You put it over the top, and then with a spoon, mix it in. Once that's in there, you just let it sit, at least for 5 to 10 minutes. Then what you're going to do is get some boiling water. Turn your boiling water up, and you'll chop up some asparagus. What I'm going to do is show you how to blanch asparagus in water that's not only been flavored with Fortisalt, but also placed into cold water that has also been flavored with Fortisalt. That way, when you're blanching vegetables, you don't wash off all of the salty taste by putting it into the cold water to stop the cooking, but you also don't have to worry about the salt not dissolving in the water. So what I'm going to be doing is blanching some asparagus that I've cut into 1.5 to 2 inch pieces. I'm going to begin a cooking process to keep the color and the texture of the asparagus crispy still, but still have a little bit of a cooked flavor and texture to it. So we're going to flavor the cooking water with a 1/2 cup of Fortisalt. And this is about it's about double of what you'd put into normal pasta water when you're using regular salt. So I'll put a 1/2 cup of Fortisalt in the water and bring it to a boil. In the meantime, I have a bowl of ice water that I'm going to add a 1/4 cup to of the Fortisalt. And this, when you're blanching vegetables and you put it into cold water to stop the cooking, you would have to use more salt than this just to get it to dissolve enough to make the flavor still last. Because you'll put it in the water, it'll flavor the asparagus, and then you'll put it into the salt water without any salt in there, without any salt flavor. Whatever you put into your boiling water to begin with wouldn't carry through. So now I'm just going to add the asparagus to the water and let it cook for 2 minutes. I'm going to heat up a skillet to about a medium high, and once the skillet's hot, I'm going to add a tablespoon of butter. In the meantime, I'm going to take my brined shrimp and I'm going to rinse it off from all of the Fortisalt that was placed in there. Oh, right now I am rinsing the Fortisalt off of the shrimp. Just a quick rinse. And then if you'll notice how puffed up the shrimp get when they've been brined, it'll give it a more luscious flavor and texture. And it'll also prevent overcooking more easily. I'm going to melt a tablespoon of butter into the pan. And in the meantime, while that's melting, I'm going ahead and remove my asparagus straight into my Fortisalt ice water. So what I've done is I removed the asparagus from the boiling salted Fortisalt water into the ice Fortisalt water, and I'm going to let it sit there and cool down so it stopped the cooking process. And now I've put a tablespoon of butter that's melted into the pan, and I'm going to add in my brine shrimp that I used the quarter cup of Fortisalt on, and I add that directly to the pan. And season it with pepper. And also a good healthy spray of the Fortisalt. You'll notice I'm using 2 different bottle sizes. One is good for your having on the table or to do seasoning like this. The other one is it's a great option to do measuring from. That way, if you're adding a lot, you don't have to worry about spraying it. Shrimp only take about 3 minutes the most to cook, so just keep an eye on it, and you want to remove them from the pan right before they're done. So they'll turn pink, and as soon as they turn pink all the way through, remove them to a clean bowl, and then we'll get started with the next process. So looks like my shrimp are just done. I'll remove them to a clean bowl. It may seem daunting to have a salt replacement be in a liquid form, but I found in my cooking that it enhances it rather than hinders it. Many of the applications I use salt for, I would prefer it in liquid form, and I also get the health benefits. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add into our asparagus water that's been already flavored with the Fortisalt, I'm going to add in a pound of linguine. Just get that in there and give it a little once around the pan just to make sure it's separated. And get that cooking. It takes about 8 to 10 minutes. In this pan that I've cooked the shrimp in, we can just go ahead and turn it to a medium high and add in about a tablespoon of olive oil. And to that hot pan, when the olive oil is ready, we're going to add a half a cup of finely chopped onion. And to the onion, I like to give it a good couple of sprays of the Fortisalt, just to flavor the onion and get just like you would with salt, just to get the juices kind of coming out of the onion and starting to caramelize. So also at this point I give it a couple good cracks of black pepper. I'm going to let that saute for about 3 or 5 minutes. Now that our onions are just about caramelized, I'm going to add in 4 cloves of garlic that I have finely minced. Looks like a lot, but it makes it taste good. And then I add in half of a red bell pepper that I have sliced. And a pinch of red pepper flake. Just give this a stir around the pan and let that saute for about 2 minutes. Okay, Okay, now I have drained the asparagus and it's sitting off and is waiting to be added. This has been sauteed for about 2 minutes, and I'm going to add in a half a cup of chicken stock to the hot pan and a half a cup of our dry white wine. Stir it, get all the brown bits off of the bottom of the pan. Bring it to a boil and let it simmer for about 5 minutes until it's reduced by half. So now the sauce is reduced by half and I've drained my pasta that's now al dente. What I'm going to do is slowly, about a half a tablespoon at a time, I'm going to mix in butter. And don't add another half tablespoon until the first tablespoon is all the way melted. We're going to add 2 to 3 tablespoons depending on the thickness of the sauce. I'm using low sodium chicken stock, and I'm also using the non-salted butter because I'm going to control all of the salt by the Fortisalt that I add. There's another half, and you can see that the sauce thickens up as the butter's added. And once we get the last of the butter added, we're going to toss in our asparagus, our shrimp, and our pasta. Now let's toss in our shrimp and our asparagus. And our pasta. Serving size of this is for 4 people, but I think it could almost feed an army. What you want to do is just toss it around, get it all covered in that sauce, and I've also added, I saved some of the pasta water in the bottom of the pot just in case we need to add extra. Let's get our lemon juice in. Oh, that's a tight lemon. Start with a half of a lemon, stir it in, and then give it a taste and see if it needs another half. You can see how many vegetables there are in that. That's a healthy meal for you. Okay, let's give this a little taste. A little bit more salt. Just to finish, maybe about 10 or so sprays. And there you have it. Shrimp and asparagus pasta.